Yo, 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 what up, what up? It's your boy Dayvito, and we are back again with another episode of Dead Religion, where we have been talking about relationship versus religion. Last week, we talked about what it's like to be in religion with God. The week before that, we talked about what it's like to be in relationship with God. And this week, we are going to peel back the onion just a little bit more for you guys, and we are going to talk about how religion has changed us. Now, before we get into the topics here, you know I'm not by myself. I got Jameis Winston's chaplain himself, Jerome Culver. Say what's up to the people, man.
What's going on, good people? We're back again just to spread and share some more love. Hope you guys are really enjoying this episode. We can't wait for these next two topics that we got here for you.
That's right, man. Listen, man, if you believe the earth is round, he believes the earth is flat. It's your boy, Anthony Munoz. Come on, man. Let him know what's going on.
What's happening, everybody? Glad to be back. Can't wait to get into this next topic that we're going to be discussing.
Well, good, man. Listen, we are going to dive right on in, man. How has religion changed you? And when I mean changed you, it could be a mindset, it could be, actual experiences. Just in any way, how has religion actually changed you?
Well, I would say that religion, growing up as a PK, as a pastor's kid, and not really knowing any better, religion is like your way of life, basically. Everything you do, you have like the Bible in your back of your mind, or something your dad told you, hey, be careful, and the Bible says this, and the 10 Commandments, and all this other. And I believe what religion does as far as the mindset is, it gives you a fear-based mindset where it limits your true potential that God wants for you, that he knows that you're capable of. But religion keeps you bounded and keeps you, like we've talked about, like in a box. And you want to explore beyond it, but you're afraid because religion has taught you that, you can't do that because, you're going to slip and you're going to backslide and you're going to, you're not going to be good enough and you're going to be hellbound. And growing up, it definitely affected me, you know what I mean? As far as the way I viewed things, at least for me, it definitely affected my points of view. And as I've gotten older, I've realized, man, like I was so blind to so many things that I let fear and religion literally hold me back. That's my personal experience. For everybody, I'm sure it could be different, but a lot of people, they probably don't even know that they're in that type of mindset.
Yeah, man, that's a good point, man. And I do agree that it does, the element of fear is very real,
Absolutely.
In regards to growing up as a pastor's kid, or even just, being born and raised in the church. There's a lot of people that I know and people in my inner circle, I look at their lives now as adults, and it definitely doesn't, the way they started is definitely not the way they ended, and that is both good and bad. So I definitely feel what you're saying there, man. How has religion changed you, Jerome?
Yeah, man. So just religion really shifted my mindset, and it helped elevate it in 3 different buckets that I kind of identify it with. The first one is just growth and having more spiritual maturity, because again, like we talk about religion, it's doing things a lot that people kind of told you to do, and you really didn't have your own mind and your own thoughts of how that relationship should be formed in your space. So yes. It helped me grow and be in a relationship where I could have my own thoughts and I can make decisions on how I did things. And then the second part is application, really applying the leadership learnings that I've gained from a relationship with God in different ways. So every area of my life, the application that I would see in religion is they had it in one set direction, but it didn't affect their entire lives. So now the growth in the relationship that I have with God, it embodies everything that I do.
Yeah.
And then the third bucket would be discipleship. I saw a lot of people in religion, or in quote unquote the church, whatever church you are associated with, they went to church, but they lived a different way, and they didn't really spread love and disciple people to be a part of what they were doing. They kind of like casted people out because they didn't do it a certain way or they didn't apply it a certain way. So that has allowed me to now disciple in a different foundation and really want to reach people and do it the right way, do it with the heart that we've talked about before. So,
well, what about you? How has it affected your mindset?
Man. So I like what you said. I like your take on it, because if it almost looks like you took the negativity of religion and you turned it into a positive.
Absolutely.
And that's why I love you so much, man, because you just bring joy and happiness and sunshine and everything that you do, man.
That's what we're called to do, brother. That's what we're called to do.
My experience was a lot like yours, you know. When I think of how religion has changed me, the first thing that it did is it created division in my life. You know, I remember very vividly as a kid, I asked my mom one time, Mom, how do we know that the religion that we have is the right one? Like, how do we know our religion is the right one versus everybody else's? And my mom said verbatim, because it is. and even as a kid,
mom says mom knows best.
Right. Yeah. But as a kid, I still, like, I pressed a little bit because it didn't make sense, even as a kid. And I was like, no, but how do you know? Like, how do you know? Yeah. And she just kept kind of saying the same thing in different ways. Some because I just know, like, it because it is. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get an answer here. I kind of alluded to this in last week's episode, where in the United States alone, there are more than 200 denominations. And so with all these different flavors of Christianity alone, right, because these are 200 denominations of just Christianity, like, how do you even know that your Christianity is the right Christianity? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Who makes that decision? Mine's right.
Right, exactly. But we all serve the same God.
Yes.
And we all pray, and we all read the same Bible.
Right.
But there's so many different variations of it that, to me, it creates division.
Absolutely.
And last but not least, there's so many different religions aside from Christianity. Hinduism is the belief of millions of gods versus Christianity that's the belief in just one God. And so they believe that what they're living is right, and that the way to what we call salvation, or maybe, you know, whatever it is, like whatever the aftermath of your life leads to, like, they all believe it's going to lead them to the ultimate destination as well, just like I do.
Yeah.
So religion in my life and in my experience created division, and it was really difficult to try to differentiate between what do I believe versus what I was told growing up as a kid, much like you guys alluded to. The other thing that religion did was that it caused a lot of rejection in my life. And what I learned very quickly in my teens, I learned that the world will accept you, but religion won't. Religion will not accept you. The church will reject you if you look a certain way, if you talk a certain way.
You got those tattoos?
With the tattoos, with the earrings, you know what I'm saying? With my clothes baggy.
Like a
you know, right. And I used to always ask people that. When they would always tell me that, I literally would ask them, like, what does a Christian look like? Do I need to wear Jesus sandals, have a long hair with some beard, and wear some sort of a blanket for a shirt and tie it around with a rope? Like, what does a Christian look like? And that's the thing. They were so caught up in the appearances that they forgot that a Christian's from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And so that caused a lot of rejection for me. I was already the black sheep. In my family growing up, I was already the black sheep because this rejection started in my family. Because I wasn't as devout as they were, because I didn't pray as long as they did, or because I didn't read the Bible like that. I didn't memorize as much scriptures as they did. Like, I was rejected from them first. And that just then bled into the outside world, where every church I went to, like, man, listen, if we had a play, that there was a play of drama that we were doing, I was always the devil or a demon. Real talk. Like, I could never be Jesus. Look at him. He can't be, right? And that's dumb, right? When we, like, look at it in comparison to, like, life in general, and, like, that's really meaningless. But that's the way that I was always viewed. I was always viewed as somebody who, you know, was needed prayer. Oh, that boy needs Jesus. Oh, that boy. And you know what? I thought that they would accept me once I actually came into salvation and really, like, started living this and being about this. And they didn't. And yeah, because they weren't the ones that changed me, because they didn't lead me to Christ, then it was invalid. It was invalidated in that regard.
Yeah.
And the last thing, and this is I think the most important thing in regards to how religion has affected me, and I'm sure it's affected thousands, maybe millions of people, is that it really gave birth to my codependency issues growing up. Codependency is people who obsessively try to control other people's behaviors. Those are signs of codependency, and codependency has a ton of definitions and there's a ton of signs for it. But in my life, I can only speak to what I know. Again, I don't have all the answers. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health expert in any way, but I know the life that I lived and I know the experiences that I've had. And that codependency manifested itself in my life through trying to control other people's behaviors, because that's what they did to me.
Yeah.
In the church, if I was running around church, God was going to strike me with lightning. If I was lying or being fake in any way, and the trumpet blew, I was going to stay here. I was going to go to hell. Like I'm going to be left behind. Like right. So people use that as a mechanism to control my behaviors. And so of course you're a product of your environment. Yeah. So I began to then try to control other people's behaviors as well, and that really hurt my relationships.
That's what religion does. I'll tell you a story of what happened to me. Same thing, pretty similar. Like being the pastor's son, my dad's always on the altar preaching and stuff like that. So he would always come dressed to the nines. You used to come to our church, you know what I mean? So like my dad would come tie. He wasn't really big on the suit thing, but he would probably wear a jacket every once in a while. But he dressed, the way any other pastor would dress. But I wouldn't. I would go to church in jeans, and we would go swagged out basically. And I'll never forget this experience. I got approached by somebody at church after church was done and everything, and I had one of those old like it had dragons on it, these shirts that were like the old school Mecca. Not before Ed Hardy. Before Ed Hardy. I'm talking Mecca, Echo and all that. Fat Farm. Oh man, they don't know nothing about that. But so I had the hip hop gear on, and I came one day to church, and I had a button-down shirt, some jeans and tennis shoes or whatever, and this and that. And somebody approached me and said, you don't look like a pastor's son. And I said, what is that supposed to, what is a pastor's son supposed to look like? He's like, look at the way you're dressed, and you're coming here and you're supposed to be honoring God with this and that. And I said, I didn't realize God died for a dress code.
Oh, come on.
I didn't realize that. I thought the Bible said, come as you are. This is who I am. This is me. And I'm coming exactly how I am. And God has never made me feel any less because of the clothes that I put on. You know what I'm saying? If I was wearing a shirt that said 666 and Satan, I love Satan and all this other stuff, then okay, I get what you're saying. Then obviously, that makes a point. But if I'm just wearing just regular clothes, God's not looking at me like, oh, look at my son. He's dressed like he should be.
So that's so powerful that you say that you were comfortable even in that moment years ago, like early in life, to understand like the relationship that you had with God, and you knew that God wasn't going to judge you, even though this person was, because a person like that, like, who is telling them that that decision is already made, or there's a right and a wrong way to do it?
Exactly.
And that's why this conversation right here is super important, because a lot of people have been in those boxes.
In those situations.
Yeah.
I'm sure
and
many
some people probably
have.
still stuck in those boxes right now.
It's right now.
And don't know how to navigate through it.
Yeah.
But it's the relationship that you have with God.
They want to get closer.
Yeah.
But man and religion tells them, well, you can't because of the way you dress, or because of the way you look, and you got tattoos, and you got this and that. Right. You can never face God.
Now listen, ladies, don't be coming to church looking like you done got off the pole. I'm just being real now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being real now. You know what I'm saying? It's not about what you wear. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I like you took exactly what I was gonna say. Real talk, because the fact that he could recognize that at an early age, as a teenager, however young you were at that time, and be able to put a line in the sand and say, listen here, homie, I know what I know, and you ain't gonna tell me what I don't know and what I do know, because I know what I know, right? And I mean that in a good way, right? Because there's a lot of people who think they know some things and they really don't know nothing, right? But it's good that you actually knew that, because I think that's where my feelings of inadequacy came in. That's where I had a low self-worth. That's where I was, resentful towards other people, because I took it and I believed it. It was like, oh, you're right. I can't get to the throne room of God because I do dress this way. I had, and you know this story because you've known me for a very long time, man. I had a pastor. I fell in love with hip hop in the 7th grade. Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness, man! That thing had me putting on the. You know what I'm saying, bro? If I sagged a little bit, then when I heard that song, I sagged a lot of it. It was like, nah, this is like, it just did something to me, man. You know what I'm saying? I fell in love with hip hop on that song, and I remember going to church with the do-rags and going to church with my pants sagging and stuff like that, and everybody having this monstrosity of a problem with it. And so when I was 18 years old, I wanted to pierce my ears. I still lived under my parents' house, and they were like, absolutely not. But every time that I would ask them, why can't I pierce my ears? They would say, men don't get their ears pierced. And I'm like, okay, but why? Then they'd be like, well, it's in the Bible. And I'm like, oh, well, show me where it's in the Bible. And nobody, till this day, I am 36 years old, and can't not one person ever show me, up until now, where it says that men can't wear earrings in the Bible. So guess what I did? I pierced them myself. Bro, I put an ice cube in the back, man, with real bougie ghetto, and said, boop, and pierced my ears, both of them. Came home, and my mom and my dad flipped. What? Oh my goodness, what are you doing? And I'm like, man, it's not that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. We go to church, and this pastor, who shall remain nameless, turns around and says, I want to see you in the back. And so I'm having this conversation with my parents, bro, in the pastor's office, and he tells me, you're going to hell for wearing earrings. And at this time, see, I'm 18. You can't sit here and make me say something without me saying something. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah, I'm going to say something to you.
Say something
and
back.
so I said, okay, where in the Bible does it say that men cannot wear earrings? And he had no answer. Straight crickets. Well, back in slavery, the Egyptians and the Israelites, they would mark their ears as a sign of slavery. Okay, we ain't in slavery, homie. This ain't slave times. And just because I got earrings, it don't mean that I'm a slave. It don't make me a slave. So tell me, where exactly is it that I can't, where am I wrong here? And he couldn't give me an answer. But you know what he did? He disciplined me, and it's called disciplina. You know what that is. And I was restricted and forbidden from ever having a part in anything related to the church. Man, listen, if I had a prayer request, I had to ask my mama. I couldn't even ask the church for a prayer request because of how restricted and forbidden I was. Over some earrings, bro. Over some earrings. So when I say that, this thing led to codependency issues. It led to me feeling inadequate. I was never going to be good. I mean, come on. I'm never going to be good enough. I like my earrings, but apparently God don't like them, so I'm going to hell. And that's how it always was spinned. You know what I'm saying? In my life, no matter what. I love the fact that you were able to take a positive from it and really take those experiences and say, you know what, I'm going to learn from it. I got a takeaway here at the end of this series that I'll be able to kind of spin it and kind of talk about the takeaways from that regard. Because it wasn't all bad. The experience may have been bad, but the results weren't that bad, man. I'm actually really proud, and I wouldn't change anything when it's all said and done. But listen, guys, we are not done yet. We've talked about relationship. We've talked about religion with God. We talked about how religion has actually changed us. Now we are going to talk about how to bridge the gap between religion and relationship with God. You do not want to miss this, man. If you thought this was great, the end is going to be worth it. We are Dead Religion. My name is Dayvito. That's Jerome Culver, and that's Anthony Munoz, and we are out.